I'm liking it, but I'm not. Again, I'm not like amped up every week. I'm like, oh, sick! Now I get to watch Andor. I don't have that feeling yet.
Naruto, we're seeing planets that aren't deserts. Yes, finally! Star
Yeah.
Wars isn't just Tatooine. Welcome everyone to the show. Tonight we're talking about Star Wars Andor that's been airing on Disney+. We have 4 episodes in so far, I believe, out of 12. And man, if you watched the previous video, you know that I started off talking so much crap about this show, talking about how it shouldn't exist. We already know Andor's story. Labels are raised to resources. You should have put their time and money into making an original story or something with like Old Republic. And man, was I wrong. I've been really enjoying this show. And to talk about it with me, we got our very own Chris.
That's right, Mothman right here.
I gotta say, the production value keeps impressing me. Absolutely insane, the production value. And if you would have told me 2 years ago, which show would have better production quality and which show would you like more? Obi-Wan Kenobi or Andor? There's no way. There's no shot anyone would have put Vegas bets down on Andor. No shot. It's absolutely insane. But we have these incredible sets, these incredible pieces. I mean, we got Cassian Andor and Luthen on their way to a rebel outpost that's on a remote planet that they have a plan to do a little heist, a little dallying job against the Empire in like the height of their power. Even being in that ship, the production quality is amazing because you have certain productions like Obi-Wan Kenobi, right, in which they use the volume, that big video wall where things look kind of fake. Even the visual effects weren't that great. And it's insane how, I don't know if it's like different people in charge or the people on Andor were allowed to just do their thing or whatever, but for some reason, this show has the sets, it's got the acting, it's got the intrigue. It's like the adults are at the steering wheel and they're giving us a good story.
Serge, while you were just talking, I think, comparing this to Obi-Wan is interesting because I feel like one thing that this show has going for it is the scope of the show. The amount of characters that we're following, it doesn't feel so constrained, that it does feel like it has some breathing room. We're seeing a lot more. We're traveling to a lot more different places so far. We're seeing different types of characters as well, in different that like have different roles in this universe. We're seeing, we're seeing part of the Empire. We're seeing officers. We're seeing some of their foot soldiers. We're seeing the world. We're seeing people that like work in a junkyard. People that just do sales. People that like all different types of stuff. That feels great. Again, I would like a little bit more creature work because it's just humans everywhere. I'm liking it, but I'm not. Again, I'm not like amped up every week. I'm like, oh, sick! Now I get to watch Andor. I don't have that feeling yet. But overall, I do think the production's off the chain, except for Mon Mothma's limo. That was like the weirdest. Like,
yeah, that was the only thing that was kind of yeah.
But besides that, yeah, the ship. The ship that they flew in was awesome. Most of the sets are great because they're sets. They're not like screens, which is great. Like the screen thing is cool and a great use of technology, but like you gotta do more than that. You can't shoot everything there.
Naruto, we're seeing planets that aren't deserts. Yes, finally, Star Wars isn't just Tatooine. Us getting to see all these different kind of planets. Yes, exactly. I'm starting to get that feeling, Chris, of looking forward to Andor every week because like this week we got Coruscant. Coruscant doesn't look like it used to. So it used to be more shining, more glistening, at the peak of, its at the peak of its power in the prequels. But now since the Empire has taken over, it's looking a bit more industrial, a bit more sanitized. And I think that very specific choice really lends to the flavor of this world, and I'm loving it. My mouth was open. I was just like, man, we're on Coruscant again. Look at it with the Empire taking over. My God, look at it. We're getting to see another storyline within the Empire. So we go to this bureau that's responsible for like all of these. Here's the part of Star Wars where there's like litigation, where there's just like there's this little Imperial like security council. But what they're really doing is making sure that they snuff out any sort of insurgency, anyone who's speaking up against the Imperials, anyone who might rise up against the Empire. So when the head guy's asking for reports, they're like, oh, there's something in this sector, there are these like corpos in that sector, but there's rumblings over here. there's something else over here too. And there was another guy who just kind of looked at the camera. He was just like, blah, 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 Scarif. He practically looked at the camera when he said Scarif. I was like,
remember that place?
Remember that place from Rogue One? You know, we had the Death Star planes there. Huh? I was like, come on, dude. We start off the episode with Andor and Luthen talking about the rebellion without talking about the rebellion. They don't say the Rebel Alliance. Luthen doesn't really say what he's doing. But there's something weird, Chris. In the conversation that Luthen, who's played by Stellan Skarsgård, was having with Andor, he alluded to that he kind of knew Andor. You know, he called back to a war, which was something we saw in Solo, the movie's Solo, a Star Wars story, where I don't know if you guys remember that mud planet that they were on, in which we found Chewbacca, in which there was a war there. Apparently, Andor was there too. We might get a flashback later on. Who knows? Because in the trailer, I think he was in an Empire outfit. Luthen said something along the lines of like, yeah, he knew that. And then he even called like either the post he was in, or he said something that was like, wait a minute, how do you know that? You know, oh no, it was a position that Andor was in. He's like, no, yeah, you were doing this. Yeah, I was like, wait, what? How do you know that? Was Luthen there too? Is he like an officer? Was he former Imperial? It's interesting. So I wonder what's going to happen with that. And I like the fact that Luthen is really playing his role, and I like the spy espionage thing that the writer and director of the Bourne movies brings here, because man, he's been doing a really good job giving us this genre inside of Star Wars. Talking about Tony Gilroy there, because Luthen, when he drops off Andor at this newly forming like little rebel ragtag team, he goes back to Coruscant, and before he lands, he puts on a wig and he starts like acting in the role of like some dignitary. I was like, oh man, that's so good. And that lets you know everything about his character. I mean, Chris, what are you thinking about Luthen's character so far?
I really like it. In fact, I think last time we were talking about it, I said the one thing that I want to see out of this is I want to see like what happens with the Senate and like what are the politics of this transition period. And we got there because clearly he runs some sort of like antiquities business, and Mon Mothma shows up talking about she needs something good for her husband's birthday, and then it turns out they're in cahoots, and this is pretty cool. So Mon Mothma is a senator, and clearly they're both trying to undermine the power of the Empire because they know that's no good. So I am super excited. All the stuff with Mon Mothma was really cool because we don't know, like we met the character and we're like, all right, she's in charge, but like we don't know like how she got in charge, and making the connection of like the Galactic Senate to the rebellion. This is what I want. And we're getting it. So this piece I'm very excited for.
Oh, dude, yeah, and the fact that we get like Mon Mothma in this in this episode, I thought was awesome, right? Like we get to see Luthen go to his antiquity shop, his antique shop in Coruscant, getting to see like the inside of like something else that's not the Jedi Temple or the Council or like Palpatine's room. It kind of seems like Coruscant's actually being lived in now, and I love all the crazy Easter eggs that are in this antique shop. I mean, we got Star Killer's armor from The Force Unleashed. We got what looked like Jango Fett, some Mandalorian armor in there. Mm-hmm. We got some things from the Old Republic. I mean, it's so crazy what's happening in the show right now. They're dropping so many different Easter eggs. And make sure you guys will watch all the breakdowns from channels who specifically go into that kind of stuff, because there's too many things to list. But I love seeing all that unique things in there. Remember too, we need an antique shop. Yeah, man. Like imagine getting to read all that stuff. Oh man, I mean, they must have had so much fun going into to Skywalker Ranch. Like, oh, let's get this, let's get that. Oh, I'll get that too. Or even like making some of the stuff too, like Sister Star Killer's armor from from the video game, because obviously that wasn't ever live action, but it also really solidifies that Star Killer was canon. Like hell yeah, seeing his armor in real life, I was like, yo, that's Star Killers. Let's freaking go. Oh man, but yes, seeing Mothma and Luthen talk in code in the back, and how like she's like supporting him, and how they're going up against the Empire is really hush hush. I love this spy intrigue. It's such a mature show, and I'm really enjoying it. And you feel the tension too, especially Chris when Mon Mothma was talking about how all the faces are different. Like all of the movies she feels like she's being watched. She has a new driver now. And she says when she goes to the bank, it's all new faces. It feels so tense. you know.
Yeah, and when she goes back, I love the scene where she goes back and she's talking to her husband about the dinner that's coming up, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah, I brought all my friends." She's like, I spend my entire day fighting these people, and you're inviting them to our house. Like, this is ridiculous." But that's what really fascinates me is like, okay, these folks that are like kind of breaking from the Senate. Uh, I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like, what are the dynamics of like a husband and wife that clearly one is like deep undercover and the other one just like doesn't care. It's great.
Yeah, and I love the back and forth of her talking about like, yeah, man, like I mean, these guys are on the opposing side of me. They're trying to take me down every time they can, and you're inviting them here to our house to have some dinner. Are you crazy? What the hell? You know, and he's just like, they're fine. Everything's fine here. And I like that on that guest list is one of Palpatine's like right hand people. I forget her name, but she's the when there's a scene in the Senate, there's an alien guy who's blue with horns, and there's another one who's sitting down and she's bald, and it's that lady.
Gotcha.
And it's gonna be interesting to see in the next episode. Like, I can't wait for the dinner that's gonna happen too, because some of those are Palpatine's people, and she specifically, one of Palpatine's right hand people, is Force sensitive. So it's gonna be interesting to see what she does here at the dinner. She's gonna feel out Mon Mothma. She's gonna feel.
Do you think we're gonna actually get the dinner? I would love it if we got the actual dinner, but I wasn't. I watched this, didn't expecting that we're actually gonna get that scene.
I think so, because I think it's something where it's going to build a lot of tension for the audience, you know, especially that Mon Mothma plays such a huge role in the Rebel Alliance, especially in the, you know, of course, in the OG. So for someone to have that sort of tension of someone who's like a right hand of Palpatine sitting there at the table with a very, you know, high ranking person in the Rebel Alliance, I think that's going to create some great tension.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's got a very Dana Scully vibe, by the way.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what's funny? I was thinking of like, she reminded me of somebody. I was like, oh, who? I couldn't put my finger on it. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Very Dana Scully from X-Files. Yeah. But yeah, that actress, I mean, a great Mon Mothma. Great get. And her performance.
It's the same actress that was in Rogue One too.
Is it? It's the same person?
Yeah.
Yo, let's go. All right. Big W coming back, getting that paycheck.
Hell to the yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this this ragtag group? We're going back to this Imperial outpost, right? Where they're going to do this little Italian job where they're going to steal money from the Empire. So Andor comes in.
More of an Ocean's 11, let's be honest.
True. Okay. More of an Ocean's 11 thing here. True, yeah, because they're going to steal like money basically out of like the coffers in the bank of an Imperial base.
That's right. The Bellagio is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and he's coming in late to this heist too, but you know, Luthen's like, hey, you know, you need this guy. You said you were down a hand. You need someone who's got some muscle, someone who's dedicated. This is your person, like whether you like it or not, you know. And I love how the captain of the team, she's like, yo, I don't like this. This is not good. Who is this guy? And Andor's just like, yo, I'm just trying to get paid. I don't know what's going on here. You know, that they keep alluding to it being the Rebel Alliance without it being said. And I really like that part because it keeps the tension going. And they're talking about the job they're going to do. They're going to steal a lot of money for that goes through there that's responsible for the entire sector, like that whole Imperial sector.
The payroll.
Gets paid. Yeah, the payroll. Yeah.
This is some white collar Star Wars bullshit. And this is the kind of things that we don't get, that we haven't gotten from Star Wars up until this point. Like that's what's really cool about this piece. And this is why, again, even though I haven't been like psyched week to week, what is going to keep me coming back is these little breadcrumbs. Because like what we saw in the prequels is clearly like this was the kind of stuff that George Lucas was kind of like alluding to. Episode 1 starts off with like the Trade Federation blockade. Like no one really cares about that. And in the end, the resolutions is like a war with lightsabers. They don't really get to actually see like the diplomacy and the politics that go on in the background. Like this is a really clever way. Like it's not like they're just raiding a weapons room. They're like, this is how we can stick it to the Empire. Which is great. And one cool thing about this as well is that like when we see in especially like the show Rebels kind of alludes to that there are kind of individual little factions of little rebellions, little groups that are kind of doing their own thing for the most part. But then that all ties into the greater organized rebellion, which so we're probably seeing just one small subset of that. And later they'll kind of join the other groups in being one bigger rebel alliance. That's the whole idea of the Rebel Alliance. The alliance in that is all these subgroups of rebels that decide to all coordinate together. And that's where we get that. So we're seeing kind of the inception of that right here, right now.
Yeah, and I love the idea behind the heist too, because I see some people like or were on social media like, oh, like, well, why are they going to steal like the payroll for that entire sector of the Imperials? But like that's a part of warfare. Like you need money, you
Yeah,
need credits to fund a war, and to it's not just like infinite resources. Like they have to mine things out. Like we saw in the flashback, when Andor was a child, the planet he was on was getting mined to hell, and that's probably where all the adults went. They probably died out. So if the entire Imperial sector of that part of the galaxy gets paid and the payroll goes through there, if they steal that, it's going to halt a lot of things for the Empire's war machine, because you need money to fund a war and to get machines going, people going. I mean, hell, like recruiting people to the Empire takes some money too, and the Empire has to grease some wheels for that stuff to happen. So I like that. Like I like that. They're going to be stealing the payroll for that whole sector. I find it interesting, and the planet itself too. They're like they're going to steal. They're going to steal it. They're going to get on this train, which looks like one of the trains we saw from the Solo movie, right? And then Andrew's just like, wait, well, we're just going to go out through the front door. What are you talking about? This is insane. We saw TIE fighters like on our way in here. There's nowhere we're going to get out. And they're like, but wait, there's a meteor shower. It's not really a meteor shower. It's a bunch of crystals that explode in the atmosphere. It's a meteor shower. And it gets witnessed by the local indigenous people there too. So that's going to happen. That's going to give us some cover. And it's like, oh, interesting. Okay. Because if like the meteor shower is really like a bunch of like crystallized things that are exploding in the atmosphere and coming through, then obviously you don't want to have your planes like flying
yeah.
through that. You don't have your aerial unit going through that. So they're going to be grounded. So they do have a chance to get away. So it's like, oh, okay, I like that. They thought of it. It's like, damn, they had some character
It's a
sheets
very
and charts.
practical plan, and that's, I think, like, one big thing that I am very much enjoying about the show is that the story itself is very practical.
Yeah.
It's not very like right now we haven't even really mentioned the Force. There's no Jedi, there's no dark side, light side at the moment. It's just characters and people and how they're dealing with this world, um, which is just it's a smarter way of going about it, and that's why, like, already better than Obi-Wan. Sorry, but
Yeah.
it is.
Oh yeah, hands down. Hands down better than like, because like I here it's like they have character sheets, they have charts, they have a flow. It seems like they really mapped out what this
Yeah.
story is, and it makes sense. It makes sense in every part of the story that's unfolding in front of us. It's like, yes, that makes sense. Of course, you want to do this, do that, this, and that. Even this plan, yes, it makes sense to this and that. Okay, great. As opposed to Obi-Wan, I'm going to go into. There's so many things that didn't make sense. How do you get stabbed by Anakin's Vader twice and you live anyway? Any freaking way. Yeah, so each and every week we're getting just this film, absolute movie quality Star Wars. I mean, this show is knocking it out of the park, and I'm glad everyone's been enjoying it so far. I mean, I've been enjoying it. I don't know anyone who's been, like it could go downhill if they don't like stick the landing, but so far 4 episodes in out of 12, this thing is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's a slower burn than I think we're used to. It's sort of a slower burn than I'm used to, but also we have more episodes. So again, big picture, when the way that when we look on this as a whole, I feel like the pacing will probably have less issues with, as well as maybe we'll see that they took a lot of time with, especially those flashback scenes that will maybe pay off later. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. So hopefully the next episode of Andor delivers. We're probably going to see more Imperial stuff. We're going to see that officer who's trying to get a promotion and work her way up, and her coworkers that's just like, yo, stay in your lane. This is my stuff. You stay in yours. I love the back and forth in the Imperial room. The sets again incredible, where we're seeing like the Imperials just like hash things out on their part of Coruscant. Like the rooms are in, everything just looks so well built, and we're getting this like incredible adult story. I mean, obviously we know where the whole thing ends, but we haven't even seen like Saw Gerrera yet. Hopefully, I can't wait for them, because like in Rogue One, I thought they kind of misused Forrest Whitaker. Apparently, there was more scenes and more stuff
Yeah.
than what we got in the final version, the theatrical version. So hopefully, there's more Saw Gerrera stuff here, and I can't wait to see him live action, and I can't wait to see like the
So
rest of this stuff.
the interesting thing about that is, well, one, we already know that like Rogue One was kind of a like movie was basically shot twice. Like shot once, it didn't make sense, then they had to reshoot everything.
Yeah.
But Saw Gerrera is, first of all, the character that has shown up in probably the most properties, like outside of like Obi-Wan, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, because there was Saw Gerrera in both Clone Wars and Rebels and Rogue One, and the Jedi Fallen Order. Like he's everywhere, and he's a kind of a cool character of this like rebellion hero that we didn't really know about in episode 4, 5, and 6. So it's good. It will be good to actually see Forrest Whitaker get some more time, because this is all about the rebellion, and so we can spend more time with that character. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, looking forward to the next episode of Andor. So that's all the time we have for this episode of Andor. Let us know what you guys been thinking about Andor. You guys been enjoying it? Is it the middle of the road for you? Was it good? Do you have a favorite character so far? Comment and let us know. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time.